Algier out to the 35. This time London. He held on. He's on to slip through and score. Bates talking. Jesse Bates interception. 15-10. Drive home safely.
Falcons fans, what's up? And welcome back to Falcons Final Whistle. I am joined by Tori McElhaney, who just got off a flight a few hours ago. It was a late night, but a thrilling night. The Falcons beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 29-28 in walk-off fashion. We've got so much to unpack in today's episode. But Tori, I mean, I feel if I was going to make a bet on anything at this point in my life, it is that we will see the Falcons and the Buccaneers on Thursday Night Football again in the near future, if not for the rest of our lives.
I know. I think what I wrote for the game breakdown, my little blurb, was I didn't think that there was going to be a game that was going to even remotely be in the same realm as what last Thursday night football was last year, when you had Kirk Cousins in front of Matt Ryan break his franchise record for passing yards in a single game. You had the Kadarius Hodge walk-off touchdown. Like, there were
Jesse Bates, like, late fourth quarter turnout. Yeah, there was so much. There were
so many, like, just iconic moments for that Thursday night game to be followed up this year with this Thursday night game. I don't think you could have, like, in the fashion of which this game ultimately prevailed for the Falcons, is just like, you couldn't have written this. It's like, you know, everybody's always joking about, like, NFL script writers. None of this, it was in the script. None of it.
No, I mean, so both teams, they combined for over 800 yards of offense. The Falcons had nearly 500 yards. They had over 100 yards in penalties. We'll get to that a little bit later. But it was really a back and forth game throughout. And then, you know, it looked like in the fourth quarter there, things were going to get dicey for the Falcons, and it didn't. They showed so much resilience to claw back, made some late plays. We've got so much to get into, but let's start the clock on our first quarter, and let's start talking about Kyle Pitts. Because this was the Pitts that was promised, right? Like this.
That was a good one.
Thank you. I was thinking all night about that. 11 catches, 166 yards, 3 touchdowns, easily the best game of his career. I mean, you were there in the building. Like, it felt like early on, all right, Pitts is going to be involved once again. What was it like just being in the stadium for that?
I think that, there's the joke about, like, Kyle Pitts when he's in Florida. Like, there's something, I think it was even Bajan said in the locker room too, he was like, get that man in Florida air all the time. Like, he just turns into this, for lack of a better word, unicorn that he, to your point, was, like, promised to be. I thought that he specifically showed a lot of heart in a lot of moments. You know, some of these catches that he had were, there are a couple of contested catches. There were a couple of, like, just really good scheme and route, literally the back-to-back little wheel route almost.
Down the right-hand side,
I was very pleased by not only what we saw from, like, Kyle Pitts in kind of this, like, penultimate type of performance, but this isn't, like, a new revelation. Like, Kyle Pitts, I think, had been building up to this moment over the last couple of weeks without Drake London out there, and I thought you made a really good point on Twitter during the game about, like, how much that even potentially shifted things for this offense in terms of where Kyle Pitts is in, like, route progressions, like how often Kirk is getting to him on his first or second read instead of maybe, like, second or third read, and how that impacts Kyle Pitts' performance, how much he's being targeted. And I mean, he had the hot hand. So, like, you give the ball to the hot hand. He caught 11 of 12, like, which I think that in and of itself is impressive when we've been talking for a very long time, months and months, if not the whole year, about, like, when you need a guy to make a catch, like Kyle Pitts made the catch.
Absolutely, yeah. And I want to kind of stick on that role part a little bit, because that's always been, I think, both the promise of Kyle Pitts, but also kind of the question of, like, how exactly do you use him in the best possible way?
Yeah.
And, I mean, there were times during the Arthur Smith era where it was like, all right, you're running kind of a dagger concept with Drake London, and Kyle is your clear-out guy. And there were times where it was like, all right, is it getting cleared out fast enough?
Right.
There's a couple receivers in the area, so, like, is that his best role? obviously we've seen him as like inline blocking, and I think this year it's gotten better where you look at the outside zone game that Atlanta's been able to run, but you know, he's still not a George Kittle. Like, he's still not necessarily a dominant run blocker. So this seems like the best use for him. And being able to be kind of this movable chess piece who is early in the route progression, that seems to be the magic sauce for him so far. And it's crazy. Like, he's just the fourth tight end in NFL history with 10-plus catches, 150-plus receiving yards, and 3 receiving touchdowns in a game, joining Shannon Sharp, Kellen Winslow, Todd Christensen. Can't say I am too familiar with Todd Christensen, but I do know Shannon Sharp and Kellen Winslow.
Right, yeah.
They're pretty dang good.
Right, yeah. I feel like good company to keep, and I think that, you know, Kyle Pitts, this is everyone knows. He knows, Falcons know, the broader NFL landscape knows this is a big year for Kyle Pitts. This is a year that he needed a performance like this, and he needed kind of stacking performances in the way that he has in the last 3 weeks for his next contract, because he is playing on his 5th-year option. Don't know if that's going to be in Atlanta, but he is kind of this entity of what does a organization see him as? Yeah. And what do they value him as? And I think that it's kind of ebbed and flowed, his value. I mean, the coming out rookie year, value exceptionally high. Injury value lowers. Coming off of the injury, value lowers. Like, not really performing and producing in the way that you want in that 4th year, lowers. And I think that this was such a big year for him. It was such a big year for what he could show the broader landscape. And so the fact that he had this performance, I don't know if it puts him back on the map, but I definitely think that this type of performance is a marker of what he is, what you could ultimately have in him. And to your point, to bring it full circle, like the promise of him.
Yeah. I mean, he's the only tight end in Falcons history to have more than 150 receiving yards in a game. He's now done it twice. Talk about his rookie year. He did it against Miami as a rookie, which, again, Florida
Air.
Florida, man. Florida. But kind of getting to a lot of his production came offset. It wasn't in line. And again, I kind of think that is how you've got to figure all of this out. And whichever team, whether that's Atlanta or somewhere else, if that's how everything rolls, like that's going to be kind of the question, right? Is he a tight end? Is he just a really movable wide receiver? But we did finally see the realization of like what everybody hoped he would be, and it is exciting,
right,
to see, even if you would have loved for this to happen with playoffs still a reality.
I think that there are a lot of things that you wish were happening, like in the same vein as playoffs. Yeah.
But something, and that is our whistle. Let's move to the second quarter. Something else that really, I think, stand out that is real and should provide a lot of hope for the future was James Pearce Jr.
Yes.
I mean, the dude was 6 games now in a row with a sack. Like, he had 2 last night. He's got 8 on the season. James Pearce, has been, I think, everything anybody could have hoped for. And should we just officially put the first-round pick conversation and nonsense to bed?
I mean, I think that I was already there.
Yeah.
Like, even before this performance. I think we talked about it on a Friday 5 episode not too long ago, and I kind of was like, I don't want to hear it anymore. And, I understand the argument. I understand the frustration, but I always have to go back to the mindset of where you were when you made the decision. Like, we have the luxury of hindsight at this point in time. The Falcons are not in playoff contention. They are eliminated. But in April, when you're going through draft evaluations and Jeff Ulbrich is trying to build a defense and he's trying to fix pass rush, and they are making it evident that, like, hey, we feel really good about this offense that we have. We feel like we fixed the quarterback position. The only thing that we have to push us to the next level, we need a pass rush. And they invested to do that. Now, looking ahead, it's like, okay, yeah, the Rams are probably going to have a top 10 pick according to how kind of the next 3 weeks goes. But that was kind of the risk you took. Like, that was and again, you got a guy who now is the franchise leader in rookie sacks in a season since 1982. Fun fact, the Falcons actually, even though individual sacks were not recognized until 1982. Officially, the Falcons as an organization actually do recognize Claude Humphreys as the NFL or as their franchise leader in sacks by a rookie. He had 11 and a half.
Yep.
I'm not putting it outside the realm of possibility that James Pearce in the next 3 weeks gets up in there into a double-digit type of situation.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, he's done this. He's got at least a sack in 6 straight games. He's got 3 more games to only get 2.
Yeah.
Odds are right now, yeah. I like him to probably finish with double digits there, if not push for Claude Humphrey. And you mentioned the Rams, he's ahead of Jared Verse.
I know.
He is ahead of a lot of the Colby Turner, a lot of those guys and what they were doing, Byron Young. And, I wonder if, we always look at the first-round pick trade as kind of, oh, man, now the Rams have this great kind of piece this offseason. Yeah, but the Falcons identified a player that a lot of other teams were passing over.
Yeah.
And credit to them, there were red flags around James Pearce Jr. character-wise coming out of college. The Falcons did a lot of research and really dug into any of those concerns and felt comfortable about getting the player and the person.
Yeah.
And the player has been sensational.
Yeah.
There have really been no character issues so far.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is a home run, and we should be giving a little bit more credit to them for identifying somebody that the rest of the league seemed to miss on.
Yeah.
And now it seems like they've got an impact player for at least the next 4 years.
I mean, I genuinely believe around draft season and through the draft process that smoke screens are put out.
100%.
And I absolutely think that James Pearce Jr., I think that there were a lot of teams that felt very high on him. And I think the character issues have, I talk to James frequently. I have a lot of respect for James Pearce Jr. And I really have genuinely enjoyed watching his maturation as a player and as a person too, and becoming kind of in his own way, his own type of person. And I think his connection with Jalen Walker has been really great. I think his connection with Raheem Morris and Jeff Ulbrich, I remember Jeff Ulbrich said during one of the interviews that I had with him around draft season, he's like, I feel like we have such a good defensive core in place, whether it be coaches or players, that he's going to thrive here. Yep. He's going to be fine. And we're going to let him go out and be the guy that he wants to be. And that's exactly what's happening here. And I don't know if I would trade James Pearce Jr. for anything right now in the speculation of what could have been.
Is he, in your mind, the front runner for Defensive Rookie of the Year?
100%. I mean, I think I haven't looked at any of the updated stats because I'm going off of 4 hours of sleep, but I don't think that there is a defensive rookie that has been more impactful in the last 7 weeks of the season. You talk about trajectory.
Yeah.
There's no one who I think defensively is on the trajectory that James Pearce Jr. is on.
The arrow is straight up. If he were playing in New York or Dallas or LA
anywhere
or whatever,
else.
He would be leading PTI, Sports Center, Around the Horn, what have you. It's crazy. He's 8 sacks on the season, tied with Jeffrey Simmons, half a sack behind Aiden Hutchinson, 1 sack behind Max Crosby.
He's done something that only Micah Parsons has done in the last 5 years.
There you go.
I don't want to hear the first round thing. I'm happy with what the Falcons have in James Pearce Jr.
Take the junior off his name. He's grown all the way up.
But then we can't call him JPJ.
No, I know. JPJ is great. All right, so that is the whistle. Let's get to our halftime stat presented by Microsoft Copilot. The Falcons' win probability early in the fourth quarter with 13:29 left in the game was just 4.8%, right?
Yeah.
Han Solo doesn't like to hear the odds.
Hey.
Neither does Tori McElhaney.
Never tell me the odds.
So what did they do? They threw those odds right out the window, and they came all the way back, trailing 28-14. Their 29-28 comeback felt every bit as maybe unlikely and as thrilling as that stat.
Well, I was talking to Bajan Robinson in the locker room, and I kind of asked him the question, at that point in time, going into the fourth quarter after a third quarter debacle against the Seahawks, this team kind of rolled over a little bit. And whether they meant to or not, like, that's what it looks like. And I kind of said, what was the difference for y'all hitting the gas pedal versus hitting the brake within, 5 days time? And he was very, like, adamant that, like, in that moment on the sideline, they had, like, Chris Lindstrom was literally walking up and down the sidelines, yelling at the top of his lungs that we're going to go win this game. And Bijan was kind of like, it's that leadership that makes you forget about everything else going on, and you want to go fight for your guys. And we'll get more into that, but, like, that story I thought was, like, an anecdote was, like, so indicative of, like, 4.8%, like, you have Chris Lindstrom on the sideline, like, I don't care. I want to win this freaking game.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like a battlefield general or whatever. When people are retreating, you need George Washington just single-handedly stopping a retreat during the American Revolution. You didn't know you were getting some history facts on today's podcast. But yeah, like, you need that galvanized leadership, and it is much more impactful when it's coming from somebody like Chris Lindstrom. I know Bijan has, aspirations to kind of be that leader as well.
Right.
So, like, that, it was great to see, especially juxtaposed with that Seattle game. So, great point by you. Let's move on to our third quarter. And when we first sat down for this show back in week 1, we were talking about a good game by the Falcons that ultimately missed opportunities, kind of cost them late against Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
There were still some miscues in this game.
I would argue there were more in this game.
Probably, with 19 penalties committed.
Yeah.
It's gonna feel that way. That's the most by any team in the league this season. It's the most by the Falcons in their franchise history.
Yeah.
I mean, what did it feel like being in that building? Because everything on Twitter, just at home, it felt like it was so stop, start, penalties, another flag.
It felt exactly like that in the moment, too. Like, it kind of got to the point where, like, so many. It felt like every play there was something, and it just, like, never felt like, oh, the Falcons would break a run with Bijan Robinson. Yeah. It's called back. A sack gets called back. There were so many moments of just, like, pure, like, frustration because of the penalties. And you really did, up until that fourth quarter when they really started to, like, mount that comeback, you felt like those penalties was going to be the difference in the game. And honestly, statistics show it should have been. Like, those penalties and losing 125 yards on penalties, giving up 7 first downs on penalties, like, that is staggering numbers that don't happen every day. And I think that, like, there is this there was, like, a level of frustration that I think even, like, probably the Bucs felt as well, because, like, they were getting penalized as well. There were so many things about those moments, and it's not even just, like, the penalties too. Like, there were other moments, the David Sills drop of a wide open touchdown, like the Darnell Mooney fumble that could have made a really big difference in that game. Like, there were moments where you felt like, okay, this is the dagger. But for some reason or another, by plays made and moments kind of taken in a different direction, the Falcons did what they needed to do to kind of make those moments not minuscule, but not matter towards the win.
Yeah, they weren't magnified because it felt like a game where you were, like, holding sand in your hand, and it was just kind of, like, slowly slipping through your fingers no matter how much you were trying to, like, keep grasp of it, and eventually they did enough to hold on.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, when you give up 100 penalty yards more than the other team, that's crazy to ultimately overcome that. But
at one point,
did.
They had more penalties than they had first downs as an offense. Like, that is. Again,
how many did they have in the first half? 14?
I think so.
Yeah.
And at one point they had, I think I even tweeted this, I think this was like halfway through the second quarter, they had just as many penalties as Bijan Robinson had rushing yards. And it was like almost all of it had been negated by penalties. Bijan had 60 rushing yards and they had 55 penalty yards. Like, you're only +5 at that point.
Some of them, I agreed with. Some of them I didn't agree with. Right? It's not here to officiate the officials.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, we'll leave that right there. Looking at you, though. Let's talk a little bit about the redemptive moment, though, for some of these players, right? We can start with David Sills because you mentioned that drop. To me, it just looked like one of those where, if you have like an overhead in tennis and you get a second to think about it and your brain enters the equation and you're kind of like, oh my God, that's what struck me in that moment was kind of like my guy fell down. Here's the ball and he's trying to really eye it in and but to see him come back and make that huge fourth down grab on the right sideline. Yeah. What were you kind of thinking in that moment?
I mean, that was what Raheem Morris has been talking about over the last few weeks is like, especially in regards to the receivers, you need someone to go out and make a catch.
Yep.
Like there were so many times over the even just going back to the Jets game, a recent example, like you had 3 drops inside the 2 minute to force the 3 and out. And balls were hitting receivers in their hands, in the chest. And I think that in regards to David Sills, he needed that moment as well. And let's be real, it was 3rd and 28 before that.
Yeah, for them to even kind of Kyle Pitts getting a third down catch and weaving his way up the field a little bit.
And then David Sills going up to get that ball. I mean, it wasn't a perfectly thrown ball, but he went up and he made the play. And that's something that Raheem Morris is he literally said last Tuesday, or literally Tuesday, he was like, we need to have a dog out there who goes out and makes that dog play. And there were moments like that.
And he made it, again, the response to do it. You mentioned Ryan Newsel jumping in to somehow, I didn't even really see it happen because when the ball got jarred out of Darnell's hand, I kind of looked up at the ceiling and was just like, oh gosh. And then I looked down and it's there's suddenly a pile and a fight. He jumps in and makes a huge play. I think D'Alford getting that interception. It was a really good adjustment, I think, defensively because Kobe Bryant comes in the game after Mike Hughes is injured, and it's immediately apparent that they are just picking on him.
Yeah, if Kobe was in coverage with Mike Evans, it was going to Mike Evans every time.
Every single time. And so what do the Falcons do? All right, we're going to kind of drop a guy underneath. We're going to start bracketing a little bit, and you come up with a huge play. Yeah. So you swing the game there. Kirk getting involved, not making those business decisions. He's jumping in and trying to fight for that ball, and then the way that first game ended with a missed field goal and a missed opportunity to send it overtime to end it with a game-winning field goal felt just like the perfect bookend for this.
I agree.
Awesome. Well, let's move along to the fourth quarter. And Tori, you wrote a column after this game on just no sleep, but I thought it was eloquent. I thought it was really well done, so everybody go please check that out. But it was all about kind of the team fighting for each other, right? With nothing left, no playoffs left to fight for. What do you have to fight for? Right. And it's kind of this team.
And I think that was the theme of this game. It was the theme of conversations in the locker room. It was the theme of Raheem Morris's press conference, this idea of fighting when you have nothing to fight for. Because the fact of the matter remains, we've said it, Falcons don't have, one, they don't have any playoff hopes. 2, again, you don't have a first-round draft pick, so it's not like you're really playing to, move up and
there's no winning and losing for this team.
It's just finishing. It's getting to the end of the 2025 season, and I think that the difference I saw in this team from, I've alluded to it before, but the difference I saw from the Seattle game in that second half to this game and this second half was night and day. And I think that I genuinely believe that this team, when they say that they're together and they're in it, they are. Because I think that there is evidence to prove that. I think this game is evidence to that they genuinely feel that way and that they're going to be playing to fight for each other. And I think that was, almost every person said that mantra of fighting for each other, playing for each other, playing with each other. I think that speaks kind of to some of the leaders in that locker room that I think Raheem Morris has alluded to in the past. Caden Ellis on Monday talked for 5 minutes straight about what it means to fight when you don't have anything to fight for. And he's like, ultimately, you're fighting for the guy next to you. And it goes back even to, I think, what we wrote about early in the season about, talking to Jeff Ulbrich about his mantra and what he wants the identity of this defense to be, and heart, mind, fist. And that heart piece of it is all the Falcons have to play for right now.
Yeah, what's your why?
Yeah, what is your why? Why are you standing next to the guy and playing for him? Like, that's it. And I think that there is, there's no moral victories in this league. Like, and the Falcons are out of playoff contention. Like, I'm not kind of like erasing all of the things that got them here, but it was in the scope of this moment, this game, what it means for kind of moving forward. The Falcons needed this.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought up Caden because I feel like his leadership has been revelatory this year. Like, I wish more fans could kind of see. We know how good of a player he is,
right?
But like behind the scenes, his character just like so shines through. But I keep seeing a ton, and it's understandable. But like every mistake that this team makes, it feels like people figure out a way to point the finger at the coaching staff as like the reason for these mistakes. To me, you look at a result like that last night and the way that this team bounces back after halftime, and credit should be given to leadership for that. Like, coaches have a hand in ultimately the mentality of this locker room and the buy-in from some of the guys. And I think that was on full display last night, right? And there were multiple times, like, it could be so frustrating to have some of the big plays, like the scheme stuff, I really liked yesterday from Zach Robinson. I thought there were really unique ways. They keep doing this, like, little trip set trio insert thing where like the middle guy's running and it's clearing a lane and there's just confusion created defensively. So to continue to kind of like have big moments, have setbacks, have big moments, have setbacks, but to keep fighting and get that buy-in and maintain that buy-in, I do think should be a point in the credit column.
I mean, I think too, like, even just being able to run the ball the way they were yesterday. And
against a really good Tampa defense.
Against a very good, and that they could not run the ball at all in that first week. And I think that, like, there have been moments where they haven't been able to run the ball. Like, that, to me, is, like, purely this offensive line being like, we're tired of this. Like, we're going to go out and we're going to step on somebody's neck. And that's what I felt in the moment watching them perform, and then hearing about Chris Lindstrom just kind of being in this like flow state on the sideline of like, guys, let's get it together. We're winning this game. Like, I don't know. I think there's still something here, like I still feel that I know why this team felt the way it did going into the season. Yeah. And it's unfortunate that it did not pan out that way, but it doesn't mean that there aren't like these pieces in place that if you can capitalize on their like rookie deals, like you have something good, and you just wish that the wins came with that something good.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is always a one-score league, but like you look at some of these games where they're so close and got over the hump, and to finally do that, I'm really curious now to see with 3 games remaining. You've got at the Cardinals, home against the Rams. That's going to be just like a really telling game, I think. And then you close it out home against the Saints. Like, these 3 games are going to be really revealing as you head into an offseason that feels important. So, awesome. Well, that is our final whistle. Tori, you got anything else you want to talk about? Like, we've talked a lot about the game, but somehow it still feels like there's...
I know. This is the, it's been difficult to have to, like, talk about, finding ways to talk about a team that continues to lose. And so it's nice to actually feel like we have threads to pull on and performances to talk about in the scope of, like, again, not having anything to fight for, but now we at least can, it's easier to do our jobs a little bit,
What do you think you'll remember most from this game? The comeback, the Kyle Pitts performance, the James Pearce Jr. of it all?
I think that I'll remember the final 4 minutes when the Falcons. I thought that, to be completely honest, I think I'll remember Kirk Cousins a little bit too. Like, I think that he's kind of getting lost in the sauce of the performances, and it's understandable. But I think that we can't talk about this game without talking about the leadership of Kirk Cousins. He put some good tape out there, and I don't know what the future is for Kirk Cousins and this organization, if there even is a future, but for what I have to give a lot of kudos and respect to Kirk Cousins in the way he has handled the last year of his career.
I couldn't have said it better myself, so that's a great point. it's a shame we didn't talk about Kirk more on this show.
Maybe we'll do it later.
But maybe we'll do it later.
Yeah.
So kudos to Kirk. Kudos to everybody who is tuned in a little bit later than usual. But hey, circumstances were what they were.
Right, yeah.
So Tori, thank you so much for sitting down. Jared, thank you as always for producing the show. For Tori McElhaney, I'm Will McFadden. We will see you all next week.